Hello there, Lake County Library. This is Christy Lewis from the Lakeport branch, and today we're going to be talking about a book haul of thriller, sci-fi, and literary fiction. So before I jump into that, I just want to let you know that you can order any of these books for free. Down below, we have our library catalog linked, and you can order the books there. We also have the book titles and author names there, so you can just copy and paste them from the description into the link in the catalog. And you can order lots of other things as well on our website. We have digital downloads as well. We have ebooks and audiobooks and classes and news resources if you're interested in getting some access to really good journalism and studies and stuff like that. We have stuff, so definitely check out our website. And let's jump into the book haul. So first of all, we have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and this was an instant New York Times bestseller and an Amazon editor's pick for best mystery, thriller, and suspense. So a real simple call says that Feeney lives up to her reputation as the queen of twist in this novel, and it's a domestic thriller that's described succinctly in this way: 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. So when married couple Adam and Amelia Wright win a weekend away to Scotland, it might seem like it's just the perfect thing that their relationship really needs. Self-confessed workaholic and screenwriter Adam has lived with face blindness his whole life, and he can't even recognize his own wife. And so every anniversary the couple has exchanged gifts, and Alice has written a letter to her husband every year, but she's never let him read that letter until this year. So I'm very curious what's in that letter and why she's letting him read it now. But anyways, they both know that this weekend could really make or break their marriage, but somebody does not want them to live happily ever after. One of them is lying. So if Rock, Paper, Scissors sounds good to you, you can order it for free down below. It's also available on book on CD, Play Away, ebook, and audiobook, and it was published by Flatiron Books in 2022. Next we have The Murder Rule by Dervla McTiernan. And the cover of this one says, "No one is innocent in this story." And that's interesting because it seems like a lot of mysteries, at least the ones that I've read, the victim is often not entirely innocent. A lot of times they're not entirely likable. So it sounds like that might be the case in this story. I'm very interested because the description of this book, like the teaser that they give you on the back of the book, is in first person. And then when I looked at the first chapter of the book in the Amazon preview, it was written in third person. So I don't know who's narrating this, the back of the book, but here's what it says. "They think I'm a young idealistic law student, that I'm passionate about reforming a corrupt and brutal system. They think I'm working hard to impress them. They think that I'm here to save an innocent man on death row. They're wrong. I'm gonna bury him." So this sounds like it might be a revenge story. It is described as being for fans of compulsive psychological suspense, like Ruth Ware and Tana French. And this is from the internationally best-selling author of The Scholar and Ruin. So if The Murder Rule by Dervla McTiernan sounds good to you, you can order it for free down below. It was published by William Morrow in 2022, and it's also available on ebook, audiobook, and in large type. Next we have The Silver Bullets of Annie Oakley by Mercedes Lackey. This is the 16th novel in the magical alternate history series Elemental Masters. So I'm not really sure if you need to read this series in order, but I looked at some of the other books and it seems like they all deal with a totally new cast. Maybe the thing that repeats is the elemental magic that's in the series, and also that they are all about they're historical retellings. So the first one I looked at was about, it's a Sherlock Holmes retelling, and then there was a bunch of fairy tale retellings. So this one's about Annie Oakley. So I think you're probably safe just picking the ones based on, if you want to read about Annie Oakley, you could be safe probably reading this one. We're following Annie, obviously, and Annie has always suspected that there's something uncanny about herself, but she's never really been able to put a name to it. But when Buffalo Bill's Wild West show goes on a tour through Germany, Bill hires another woman named Frida, who also happens to be an elemental master of air. So alongside this new performer, Annie discovers that she and her husband Frank are not simply master marksmen, but they're also magicians of rare ability. So as they travel and perform, Annie is going to have to use this newfound skill to combat creatures of the night scattered across the countryside. It sounds like a fun fantasy. Annie's got her gun and it's filled with silver bullets. You know, silver bullets are supposed to kill werewolves and stuff like that. So if the Silver Bullets of Annie Oakley sounds good to you, you can order it for free down below. It's also available on ebook and it was published by Da in 2022. Next, we have Light Years from Home by Chen. Chen is actually the New York Times best-selling author of Star Wars Brotherhood. Light Years from Home is a best of and a most anticipated sci-fi and fantasy novel as selected by Goodreads, BuzzFeed, Book Riot, and several other places. Like a lot of places selected this as a best of type book. And it's described as the perfect combination of action, imagination, and heart. And it's a touching drama about a challenge as difficult as saving the galaxy, which is making peace with your family and yourself. We're following in this book Evie Shao and her sister Cass, who have not been on speaking terms for the last 15 years, ever since their family took a trip where their brother and father disappeared. The father reappeared and he was talking about being abducted by aliens, but their brother Jacob never reappeared. And so Cass just suspects that, you know, her brother, he's a dropout from college. He's probably just run off to do something else with his life. But Evie, she is like not going to stop searching for her brother Jacob. She trades academics to pursue alien conspiracy theory, always looking for her brother. So when Evie's network actually finally uncovers Jacob again, he's now talking about an intergalactic war and that there's aliens basically chasing him. Evie and Cass are gonna have to like fix their issues quick if they're gonna be able to help their brother and all come together. So if Light Years from Home sounds good to you, you can order for free down below. It's also available on ebook and audiobook and on book on CD, and it was published by Mira in 2022. And finally, we have All That's Left Unsaid by Tracey Lien. This is an international bestseller, and it's described as a deeply moving and unflinching debut following a young Vietnamese Australian woman who returns to her family in the wake of her brother's really brutal murder, and she's just determined to find out what happened to him. So I'm guessing that this is somewhat literary, but I don't know, it could be more like heavily mystery. There's a lot of books that kind of straddle the line between literary and mystery, so I'm not sure which line, where it falls more heavily, but it's described as for fans of Everything I Never Told You and The Mothers, as well as the authors Liz Moore, Britt Bennett, and Celeste Ng. And I think it touches on post-colonialism as well. So we are following Ki Tran, whose parents call to ask her one night if they should let her younger brother Denny go out and celebrate his high school graduation with his friends. And she tells them, just let him go. Just let him go have fun, basically. And that night he is brutally murdered inside a very crowded restaurant where 12 people were in the restaurant. I think it says 12. And they all say that they did not see anything and they have no idea what happened. And so Ki is feeling very guilt-ridden about having told her parents to let him go. And then he gets murdered. So she ends up going back home to try and find out what happened to him, and she's going to chase down the witnesses and really try to figure out what happened. So because the police aren't doing very much about it. The party happens at a busy restaurant in the Sydney suburb of Cabramatta, which is a refugee enclave facing violent crime and an indifferent police force and the worst heroin epidemic in Australian history. So that's kind of the setting, and that's why she's determined to figure it out, because the police are not apparently following up. So if All That's Left Unsaid sounds good to you, you can order it for free down below. It's also available on ebook, audiobook, Playaway, and book on CD, and it was published by William Morrow in 2022. That is it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this book haul. Let us know down below if you have any questions or any comments. We really love to hear from you, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.